I'm Colton Halter, and together with my colleagues, Ariana Camerlin, Christian Gauthier, and Colby Porter, we will be discussing an experiment that we performed on onion root tips in our botany lab. It will be divided into 4 parts, each one presented by one of us. First, we will have an introduction done by yours truly, a discussion of our methods and our materials and supplies by Colby Porter, an explanation of the data that we gathered by Ariana Camerlin, and a discussion of the data and final thoughts by Christian Gauthier. Do a mic check while you're up there. Go test 1, 2.
Onions.
A few months ago, we underwent an experiment in order to get an idea of how much time a cell spends in each phase of mitosis. We used a program provided by the University of Arizona to collect the data, as well as collecting our own data using a microscope and onion root tip. Our hypothesis when we started was that cells spend the majority of their time in interphase, as that was the least demanding of all the phases of mitosis. As the physical data that we collected in the lab was hard to parse and inconclusive, we will mostly be focusing on the data we collected from the University of Arizona website. That is all.
Hello, my name is Colby Porter, and I will be doing the materials and methods. So what we did first was we headed on over to the website that the University of Arizona has prepared for onion root tips. First, we identified all the different phases that a cell goes through, such as interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Then, we looked at many different slides of cells and placed them in their proper phases. We used a calculator to see just the percentage of how long a cell spent in each area. After that, we decided to take our results to the lab, and so using an onion and a microscope, we made a lateral section of an onion root tip, and making a wet mount, we put it under the microscope, and then each of our colleagues went and observed it, then drew a representation, and we all concurred. The end.
I'm Ariana Camerlin, and I'm going to be explaining our data. So within our experiment, we collected the following data. For each number of cells during each phase, starting with interphase, the number of cells was 20. In prophase, it was 10. In metaphase, it was 3. In anaphase, it was 2. And telophase was 1 out of 36 total. Next, we calculated the percentage. We did this by dividing the number of cells in each phase by the total number of cells times 100. So during interphase, it was 55.6%. In prophase, it was 27.8%. Metaphase was 8.3%. Anaphase, 5.6%. And telophase, 2.8% out of 100%. Next, we calculated the time in minutes. We did this by calculating the number of cells divided by the total number of cells multiplied by 720 minutes. So for interphase, 403.2 minutes. Prophase, 201.6 minutes. Metaphase, 57.6 minutes. Anaphase, 43.2 minutes. And telophase, 14.2 minutes out of 720 minutes total.
Christian Gauthier, also known as Christian Gauthier. I'll be discussing our final thoughts and findings on our data we found in our onion tip experiment, in which we observed the different phases that the cells were in and what percent of cells were in what phase. I find it to be pretty expected. I mean, as given our hypothesis that interphase would have the most cells in it, it's the least metabolically intensive, there's the least going on,
and it just makes more sense for the cells to spend their bulk of their time there. I feel like the rest of it really is to go as expected. I do wish our in-person lab had been a little easier to observe, so we could have recorded our own data rather than relying on the university's website. But I feel like it's pretty good.
So it's been said that onions have many layers. Is that also true for onion roots?
Yes. You usually have dermal cells, specifically epidermis, on the outside. You're obviously going to have more of the stages where it's dividing. You're going to have more of your metaphase, your anaphase. Telophase will be found throughout. Obviously, interphase is going to be most common, so it's going to be everywhere. Your skin's going to have a lot of division because it's constantly expanding. The inner parts, not so much.
Cut it. This will be for the bloopers reel.
What is your...
I am Colton Halton, and together with my colleagues, Ariana Camerlin, Christian.
Ariana's.
So do I just sit here and y'all ask me questions, or?
Stop. Okay, we're just gonna keep recording even through all of it. Okay. What was the question?
I think I'll donate some heart sauce, buy some potting soil, study, you know. Stop. You see this guy? Alright. Take two.